Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you my favorite way to make a taco. First we're going to start by seasoning our pork shoulder. Be very generous with the salt. Into a hot pan we're going to add some neutral oil, and then we're going to sear off our pork. You don't need to add a lot of oil because the pork shoulder is naturally going to have a lot of its own fat. Put it in the pan and let it sit for a few minutes to really develop a nice crust, and then turn it over and continue on each side until all sides of the pork nicely golden brown. Then we're going to transfer the pork to a roasting pan. To that we're going to add 2 bay leaves and about a half an inch of your favorite stock. Here I'm using chicken stock. .325-degree oven for 5 hours to slowly braise until it's fork tender and falls off the bone. Next, let's get started on a nice Pico de Gallo. We're going to finely dice some jalapeno peppers and reserve for later. Remove the core of the tomato, and then we're going to squeeze out and remove all of the seeds and excess liquid. We don't want our Pico de Gallo to be too runny. Once you're finished dicing up the tomato, we can move on to the cilantro. I like to ball it up into a nice scrunch and run my knife through it. We're just going to coarsely chop this. Next we're going to finely dice a red onion. I'm using about 1/4 of a red onion here. Add that to your tomato mixture, followed by some jalapeno and cilantro. Next we're going to finely grate some raw garlic. I'm only going to use about half a clove here for 6 tomatoes. It goes a long way. Then we're going to add some olive oil, season with salt, and add a squeeze of 1 lime, and then stir to combine. It wouldn't be Taco Tuesday without a nice guacamole. Here I'm going to use 3 large, ripe avocados. Cut them in half, remove the core, and then go ahead and mash them up in a bowl. To the avocados I'm going to add some diced red onion, some cilantro, a squeeze of lime, seasoned with about a teaspoon of cumin, a sprinkle of salt, and stir to combine. Next we're going to prepare some green onions, so take off the ends and give the white stalks a rinse. We're going to preheat a dry skillet on high heat and add the green onions straight to the pan. Once they're in the pan, let them sit for a few minutes to develop a really nice char before turning. Once you flip them over, give the other side another 90 seconds or so before you add a little bit of water and put on a lid to create a little steam. Let it steam for about 2 minutes until the spring onions are fork tender. And season with salt and a little bit of olive oil. Next, we're going to prepare a corn salsa. I'm peeling 2 ears of fresh white corn, and into a large bowl, I'm going to slice it off the cob. Then we're going to finely dice 1 red bell pepper and add it to the corn. Add another half of a diced red onion, the rest of your jalapeno, stir to combine, and then we're going to add this to the same dry pan that we used for the green onions. Let it sit for several minutes to develop a nice char. Give it a stir, season with salt, and then let it sit for another few minutes to continue the cooking process. Here we're going to make a nice radish pickle into a bowl. Squeeze the juice of 1 lime before finely slicing raw radishes. Then finely slice half of a jalapeno into thin rounds and add, season with salt, and toss to combine. Let this sit for about 30 minutes and then it'll be a nice crunchy pickle to go on top of your tacos. Next, we're going to make some adobo smoked chili beans. Finally, chop up 1 chili and adobo sauce. You can buy these at the supermarket in a can. Add to black beans and into a hot skillet with a little bit of olive oil. We're going to fry these beans off just until they blister. Now that the pork is cooked for 5 hours, we're going to remove the aluminum foil and drain the excess cooking liquor. Reserve this liquid. We're going to add some back later to add some moisture back to our pork after we're done shredding it. Now shred the pork with a pair of forks. It should fall right off the bone and be very tender. Once the pork is shredded, add a bit more of the cooking liquid, and then throw it under the broiler for about 2 minutes to get nice and crispy on top before serving. Now let's plate up. Start with your favorite tortilla and a nice generous portion of the pork. Then we're going to add our adobo smoked chili beans, followed by some radish pickle and jalapeno. Then we're going to do our charred corn salsa fresh Pico de Gallo, some grilled onions, a little fresh green onion and cilantro, and finally top it off with some nice salty, crumbly cotija cheese. And that's my favorite way to eat a taco.